Imagine for a moment that at the end of the student union elections, there was a complete and 100% domination of it by one and only one roster. Imagine that some of them, suddenly finding themselves in complete power without accountability, not only here, but in almost every other area in the country, have decided to turn evil, show their hidden ugly faces, and started dreaming and acting for their own purposes, not the ones they were elected for. Imagine that they intentionally operated completely outside the programs and plans they told us and were eventually elected for. Imagine that they did that under the auspices of benefiting us, achieving long-term goals for us, or even said that they were just obliged to do that. Imagine that every now and then they made mistakes or acted on bad information, harming us, most of the time with little or no repercussion or consequences. Imagine that their actions continuously resulted in putting up restrictions on us, the ones who really chose them and put them in their positions. Imagine that we protested furiously against them and overwhelmed them with objections on their performances. Imagine that all of us started thinking that this student union that we chose was only acting to harm us instead of helping us, or at least be neutral. Imagine that we organized ourselves and asked them in clear, definite words to stop that and start working according to their alleged programs, the ones we chose them for. But then they refused, or just said it's out of their hands. Imagine that we were labeled with silly, unreal slanders, like saying we are just jealous, or just said that we are trying to act against the legitimacy of the ones who were actually elected. And at the end, we were, each and every one of us, routinely ignored and ignored. Now, imagine that we all have decided to avoid all that, have decided to put things into the right balance between the two competing powers, put them equally together with almost the same representation and facilities, so that none of them can enjoy the ultimate power and become a fascist. Imagine that the stronger ones even came and promised that they will never become as bad as that, and will never make unilateral decisions, but then once they took the office, they changed their mind. The reality is that this year is the first one that most of the moderate students who usually take the elections have decided to step aside, leaving that one and only one power to take control of each and every single small place, and that should really matter to every single one of us. This will affect all of us, either directly or indirectly, even if we don't know that. Trying to make the right balance between the power that appears hugely stronger and the one that looks relatively weak does not mean that we are against the ideas they carry. It's the opposite. It's protecting them from becoming dictators and tyrants. Opening our minds to the fact that we are all humans who carry both good and evil genes in our blood. Some of us are honest, but the majority aren't. Will help us avoid falling into the naivety of trusting one and only one power to take control of everything, without watching and supervision. Making balance is the only possibility that will not bankrupt the student union in short order, as absolute power corrupts absolutely. Save the student union from being a game in one man's or one association's hand. Save it from becoming a place that represents one group exclusively and ignores the others. Try to make sure that there will be the right balance that all of us as medical students at Ain Shams University are having and enjoy, because we deserve that. Always stir things a little, or you'll stay at the bottom for a long time. Take the right decision, and always be sure, nothing about us will be without us.